Hey guys, this is Dr. McDaniel. Wanted to give you sort of just a personal message. I'm in Denver right now, it's in my hotel room. We got a midterm coming up next week. March 6th is the due date, so make sure that you get this midterm done by March 6th. You'll get 5 extra points added on if done by the due date as usual, and I need to go back and add those points to your test 1. I've not done that yet. I'm surprised no one's reminded me, but I will get that done today, I hope. Got a little bit of a breathing room here for the next hour or so, so I'm trying to get caught up. I've emailed a lot of people that have not done the online quizzes for Chapter 4 and Chapter 6 in particular. So although you're limited to just one attempt since it's past the due date, you definitely need to get this done before taking the midterm. Same thing with the homework. If you're missing homework, make sure all those get done before taking that midterm. Otherwise, they'll just go down to zeros. You don't want that. As usual, with the midterm, you have to take the practice midterm, and you need to get at least a 50% before attempting the midterm. So don't wait until the day before or the day of before trying that practice midterm. That's how you'll know what's on the midterm, right? I mean, I could tell you, but I mean, you'll really know by taking that practice midterm. I want to say there are roughly between 40 and 50 questions on the midterm. I've got the time set up, I think like at 3 hours or 4 hours. I don't want you to think this is a super timed test. I know I've worked with people before and in online classes, and they say that time just really freaks them out when they've got it. And so I want to eliminate that. I know with statistics there's a lot of data analysis and putting stuff in the calculator. I don't want you to think you've got to speed through that at all. This is not about speed in this course, okay? So in a sense, there's no time. I had to put one on there, and 4 hours should be plenty of time on that. So you can kind of gauge your time based on the practice test. Again, how I make these tests out, including the midterm, except for the final, is I create the practice test. I then copy it and resave it and call the test. The problems are algorithmically regenerated, so you get slightly different variations with slightly different values sometimes, but in a sense you'll get a good sense of the material that's covered. So far, several people have already done the practice midterm and are doing quite well on it, so I'm looking forward to good grades on this. Remember, on the midterm and final, the average of those two grades has to be at least passing. I believe I set it at 60%. So make sure you get at least a 60 average. I may set it at 70. I got to look at my syllabus. Whatever the syllabus says, that's what it's going to be. So I'm pretty sure it's 60 though. So if you got a 50 on the midterm, you need to get at least a 70 on the final. Okay. Now, I don't know if I advertise this or not, but you do get 2 attempts on the midterm. But you really don't want to. You don't want to do that. I know it's an issue on your end, having to get to campus or having to get to your testing center. So let's really try to get this done in one attempt. Okay. What else? So same thing goes with the grace period, right? March 6th due date, but I give you 3 days. The problem is that 3 days, there are other assignments that are due, right? So if you end up using that or end up going a little beyond that, you end up getting a little behind on other assignments, right? So do your best to get that midterm done on time. Now, I will be having that midterm, and I believe it's an announcement I posted not too long ago. I'll be hosting that as well. I think it's in the BAS. I mean, whatever the email says that I did. I'm in the hotel, and I can't think straight right now, but whatever that says, that's where I'm going to be. I want to say it's from 10 to 12. I had to pick a time, and I wasn't sure what the best time would be. And sometimes I teach at night, so I just picked a time. So if you can't make it then, I understand if you can't. You need to set it up with the testing center. If you're doing it remotely, Columbia State, in Florida, in Hawaii, wherever you are, you've got to go through our testing center, and that's in the email that I sent. You've got to have that set up, and she will take care of sending the password to the proctor, okay? So make sure that gets done. If you can, email me to let me know that you're going to be coming, just so I can kind of have a sense for how many students I'm going to have there. What else? So, quizzes. Some of you are getting those quizzes done late or not at all. Before the due date, you get 5 attempts. After the due date, you get 1 attempt. So, definitely try to get these done before the due date. And I mean, it's sort of an attempt penalty you get. I still want to be flexible with the online environment, but nonetheless, you need to get those quizzes done because it sort of just keeps you going in the class. Some of you are starting to kind of slow down a little bit. I know the material is getting more challenging, and we sort of slow down. You notice the due dates are a little bit further apart now on the quizzes. I mean, regression in Chapter 4 is not easy. I mean, don't think if you are struggling with material that you're the only one struggling. Everyone struggles with this material. Everyone. Unless they've had it before, and then they've already struggled with it back then. So chapter 4 is on regression. It can get tricky. I really recommend using the TI and or StatCrunch. Now StatCrunch is really nice, right? You can pull the data sets right up into StatCrunch. There's a little box in the upper right hand corner of every data set pretty much. You click on that, StatCrunch comes up, click on that, it pulls the data set up in there. You don't have to enter in any data, which is nice. And you should be able to utilize that on the midterm. Try it on the practice midterm to make sure, but I think I've got it set up to allow you to do that. If you don't like StatCrunch, that's okay. You can use the TI calculator to get those done. We pretty much skipped chapter 5 on probability. You don't really have to know a whole lot of probability. Most of you kind of have a sense for, if I had 10 red balls in an urn and 5 blue, what's the probability I pick out of blue? That'll be 5 out of 15. The number of successful outcomes over the number of total outcomes. We all have a kind of a natural intuition about that. Chapter 6 is on the normal distribution. Again, I want you to use the calculator on this and or StatCrunch. I think I showed you more on the calculator with the normals. It's really nice. It's got a nice normal CDF feature on there. You can do. You'll really need to know this for the next chapter, which we'll do after the midterm, but you'll really need to know how to use that and how to think about the normal distribution and things and data sets being normally distributed and what that means. Very, very important. What else? Well, I think that's all I've got right now. So make sure you stay on top of this. Definitely email me. I'm not getting a lot of questions. Every teacher knows that when they don't get a lot of questions when they're in an on-ground class, it means one of two things, right? Everyone understands everything, or you don't really understand enough to ask a question. And it's usually the second one, right? So make sure you are asking questions. The best way to do it, I've gotten a couple of questions, but it's been like, I'm stuck with chapter 4. And I can't really help a whole lot with that. If you will use that Ask My Instructor button in my math lab, I'm usually pretty good about getting back with you on those. So, and if I don't get back to you in 24 hours, send it to me again. Occasionally, I see that on my iPhone. I can't pull up these problems on the iPhone or iPad. So I try to flag it and go back to it the next day, but occasionally I forget. I hope that hasn't happened this semester, but occasionally it has happened in the past. So I'm trying to get better at that. Well, that's all I got. I don't make this video too long, but I wanted to make some sort of personal connection with you through these little videos. So hopefully you'll find this well, and definitely email me if you have any questions. Thanks.